So in this video, I'm going to take a look at the main considerations when it comes to framing. And framing can encompass quite a lot of different things in terms of what we choose to be in our background, but mainly where our main subject is positioned within the screen. So first off, we're going to take a look at the rule of thirds. So taking a look at this image, we can see that this is incorporating what we call the rule of thirds. Now this is a theory that kind of stems from a long history in terms of photography, and just an idea that it basically just looks good, that it's pleasing when we break up a screen into the rule of thirds. You'll often find on the back of a camera that we would have a grid that we can turn on and off, which can be quite useful if we want to get used to that idea of what is taking up a third of the screen. In terms of the types of educational videos that we might be making, the rule of thirds is a really nice way of being able to present information on screen. So we often use that as a way of enabling us to put a slant or take up a third of the screen with bullet points that we're talking about, which really can kind of enhance the points that we're making and simplify ideas for people that are watching. One of the things that I often see people getting wrong when they think about framing is the headroom, so the amount of space that's above our subject's head. So taking a look at the two images here, this is just to highlight the kind of framing in terms of the amount of frame that our subject is taking up. As you can see on that image on the left, there's a lot of headroom above my head. The second image is a little bit more cropped in and it looks a lot more nicer and a lot more balanced. Here is an example where we have the opposite, where we're cropping off the top of our subject's head, and again it's not really desirable and it's just distracting really when our viewers are watching our content. Finally, taking a look at this image, this is about the body orientation of our subject. So as we can see, she's kind of facing away from the camera, and there's just no reason for that really. We want the kind of the focus to be direct to camera and that attention to be on camera. So we're going to be taking a look at the A camera and the B camera setup in terms of positioning, but also just to think about the kind of framing when it comes to those two images. So we've already said about that kind of rule of thirds as a concept. Here we've also got an example of a kind of in the center, and this is a really nice way of putting the real kind of focus on your subject and then talking directly to the people that are watching. And it really depends what you're trying to achieve. The kind of off camera is really classic when it comes to interviews, so the idea that someone is speaking to somebody else. But with educational content, I think that kind of that direct line of contact where someone is looking into the people that they're speaking to, I think that really works for me. In terms of the framing, the key thing with the A camera is that we want to get a kind of full body shot, really, what we would call a mid shot. So coming from below the chest and kind of above the head. Nothing is being cropped, and we're also getting a bit of sense of the space behind our subject. B camera is a lot more punched in, can be cropped, can crop off some of the top of the head, and it's often kind of more to the side. You'll often see the rule of thirds applied in both of those, so even in the B camera the rule of thirds is often kind of comes into play. But yeah, that kind of key difference is that an A camera is what we'd call a mid, and a B camera is quite close, quite cropped in. When it comes to a background, it kind of goes without saying really. It's really about trying not to distract our viewer. So key thing that might kind of come into play there is things that move. So we don't really want a window behind us where things might be changing, and we also don't want things like blinking LEDs or anything like that. So yeah, just making sure that your background is not changing is a really key thing to pay attention to. It's really nice to have interest behind us in terms of like shapes, colors, plants. All of those things are really great to add a bit of context. I think that when we're shooting in lower apertures and then we get the nice bokeh behind us, I think it's really nice to have a bit of difference in terms of shapes and angles. But yeah, just making sure that it's not too busy, and the key thing is definitely not to be distracting.